I want to explore the psychology behind anybody who, seeing the evidence in front of them today, could possibly still consider voting for the Democratic Party. Yes, I do get it that there are the truly ignorant, or the ones who are outright bribed with taxpayer, your money, or maybe those who actually have studied the issues, whose IQ is somewhere in the 80 range, who would still consider to vote blue. But for the rest of you, what's the logic?
Because you're trapped. If you were smarter, you might think it's something, but you're not.
How do y'all think that the Democrats are the good guys and are still considering to vote for them? Because it seems like everything that they accuse the Republicans of doing, they're the ones guilty of. Confession via projection. And by the way, I'm not a super fan of the Republicans either. I used to be a Democrat. I'm really more libertarian. I'm just trying to call balls and strikes as I see them. So take January 6th. For the last 2 years, this is all that they have talked about, hung their hat on. MAGA is a threat to democracy, the nation, to all that is holy, as Joe Biden's puppet masters manipulate his mouth into uttering.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself.
Not only that, they go so far as to conflate and compare MAGA to Al-Qaeda terrorists who took down the Twin Towers on 9/11 with the help of the mainstream media.
Vice President Harris, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good to be with you, Chuck.
Let me start with, look, we're at the 21st marking, if you will, of the September 11th attacks.
Yeah.
This was a foreign terrorist attacking our democracy,
Yeah.
attacking this country.
Yeah.
We're now, as a nation, battling a threat from within. Is the threat equal or greater than what we faced after 9/11?
That's an interesting question.
That, by the way, was a pre-written, pre-planned question. The very first one asked of the vice president in her interview on, I believe it was 9/11. And embedded in it was the presupposition that MAGA Republicans are at minimum equal as a threat as Al-Qaeda, those who took down the Twin Towers, those who wish death for America. But let's just play along and say that they actually truly believe this horrific statement. Why are they funding the beliefs, the rise, and the economic viability of people who are as grave a threat, whose beliefs are worse than Al-Qaeda? Why is this? Let's explore, because in my mind, there are a binary set of options, and I want you guys to leave your thoughts in the comments as to whether or not you agree. If they truly believe that MAGA are a bunch of terrorists on par or worse than Al-Qaeda, then by funding them using your democratic donations, they are actively providing material support to a terrorist organization and should be investigated and thrown into jail for a long, long time. Perhaps even longer than those who walked into the Capitol on January 6th and did no physical damage, who are still rotting away in prison. Or they don't believe at all in the propaganda they are espousing, and they're attempting to divide the country, making people suspicious of each other to the point where a crazed North Dakota leftist ran over a teenager who he believed to be an extremist Republican, which was very shortly after Biden's divisive, fascistic speech. And they are merely, in doing so, trying to prop up an easier opponent so that they can defeat them in November. Plan A, they're giving aid and harbor to terrorists, Or plan B, they are incredibly cynical and divisive, evil people doing anything and everything they can to grab on and hold the reins of power. And you expect such people to actually do what is best for the nation? And knowing this, there are still those of you out there that are willing to give them your vote. I've laid out a pretty good case here. If I'm wrong, by all means, leave it in the comment section. List your excuses for continuing to vote Democrat besides Orange Man Bad, which is an excuse reserved for the truly brain dead. That said, for those of you who still will insist on voting for Democrats, I have but one question.
Why are y'all so stupid? Why are y'all so stupid?